Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to today's Srimad-Bhagavatam class. Before we start our Srimad-Bhagavatam class, let's do a simple Mangala Charana. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaim Narottamam Deving Saraswating Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nasta Presha Vadareshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavadi Naistikihi Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnana Jnana Salakaya Chaksuran Mritanyana Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Japataka Swami Iti Namne Nama Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripapadayane Gorakatadam Daya Niragram Thane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome everyone again to this today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 12 Chapter 1, chapter entitled The Degraded Dynasty of Kali Yuga. So in this chapter, Sukadeva Gosvami is going to tell Parikshit Maharaj about all the kings that are going to come in Kali Yuga. Please understand this Srimad Bhagavatam narration by Sukadeva Goswami was done 5,000 years ago. And in this chapter, Sukadeva Goswami will be predicting the kings that are going to appear in Kali Yuga. So these kings will be of low quality kings. This is Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga means the age of quarrel and ignorance. So let's begin and see what Sukadeva Goswami tells Parikshit Maharaj. Text number 1 and 2. Sukadeva Goswami said, the last king mentioned in our previous enumeration of the future rulers of Magda dynasty was Purana Jaya, who will take birth as the descendant of Brihadrata. Puranjaya ministers Sunaka will assassinate the king and install his own son Pradyuta on the throne. The son of Pradyuta will be Palaka. His son will be Vishakhayupa and his son will be Rajaka. So here Sukadeva Goswami is giving an idea as to the kind of kings that is going to appear in Kali Yuga. So there will be a vicious political fight between all these members of the families in this age of Kali Yuga. In the 9th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami described how the great rulers of men descended from two royal dynasties, that of the sun and that of the moon. Surya Vamsha and Chandra Vamsha. The 9th canto description of Lord Ramachandra, a famous incarnation of God, occurred in this genealogical narration. And at the end of the 9th canto, Sukadeva Goswami described the forefathers of Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram. Finally, the appearance of Lord Krishna and that of Lord Balaram are mentioned within the context of the narration of the Moon Dynasty. The 10th canto is devoted exclusively to the description of Lord Krishna's childhood pastimes in Vrindavan, his teenage activities in Mathura, and his adult activities in Dwarka. The famous epic Mahabharata also described the events of this period, focusing upon the 5 Pandava brothers and their activities in relation with Lord Krishna and other leading historical figures such as Bhishma, Dhritarashtra, Dronacharya, and Vidura. Within Mahabharata is Bhagavad Gita, in which Lord Krishna is declared to be the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimad-Bhagavatam, of which we are presently translating, the 12th and final canto is considered the more advanced literature than the Mahabharata because throughout the entire work of Lord Krishna, the absolute truth, the supreme source of all existence, is directly, centrally and irrefutably revealed. In fact, the first canto of Bhagavatam describes how Srila Vyasadeva composed this great work because he was dissatisfied with his rather sporadic glorification of Lord Krishna in Mahabharata. Although Srimad-Bhagavatam narrates the histories of many royal dynasties and the lives of innumerable kings, not until the description of the present age, the age of Kali, do we find a minister assassinating his own king and installing his son on the throne. This incident resembles Dhritarashtra's attempt to assassinate the Pandavas and crown his own son Duryodhana as king. As Mahabharata describes, Lord Krishna stopped the attempts, but with the departure of the Lord for the spiritual sky, the age of Kali became fully manifest, ushering in political assassination within one's own house as a standard technique. Text number 3. The son of Rajaka will be Nandi Vardhana, and thus in the Prayutana dynasty there will be 5 kings who will enjoy the earth for 138 years. Text number 4. Nandivardhana will have a son called Sisunaga, and his son will be known as Kakavarna. The son of Kakavarna will be Shema Dharma, and the son of Shema Dharma will be Kshetra Rajna. Text number 5. The son of Kshetra Rajna will be Vidhisara, and his son will be Ajata Satru. Ajata Satru will have a son named Darbaka, and his son will be Ajaya. Text number 6 and 8. Text number 6 to 8. Ajaya will father a second Nandishvardhana, whose son will be Mahanandi. O best of the Kurus, these 10 kings of the Sisunaga dynasty will rule the earth for a total of 360 years during the age of Kali. My dear Parikshit, King Mahanandi will father a very powerful son in the womb of a Sudra woman. He will be known as Nanda and will be the master of millions of soldiers and fabulous wealth. He will wreak havoc among the Kshatriyas, and from that time onward virtually all kings will be irreligious Sudras. So here Sukadeva Goswami is giving description of how authentic political authorities degenerate and disintegrate throughout the world. There is a supreme Godhead, and there are saintly powerful men who have taken the role of government leaders and represented that Godhead on earth. With the advent of the age of Kali, however, this transcendental system of government collapsed, and unauthorized, uncivilized men gradually took the reins of power. Text number 9. That Lord of Mahapadma, King Nanda, will rule over the entire earth just like a second Parasurama, and no one will challenge his authority. So in the 8th verse of this chapter, it was mentioned that King Nanda would destroy the remnants of the Kshatriya order. Therefore, he is here compared to Lord Parasurama, who annihilated the Kshatriya class 21 times in a previous age. Text number 10. He will have 8 sons headed by Sumalya, who will control the earth as powerful king for 100 years. Text number 11. A certain Brahmana will betray the trust of King Nanda and his 8 sons and will destroy their dynasty. In their absence, the Mauryas will rule the world as the age of Kali continues. So here in the purport, it is described by Sridhar Swami and Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. Both confirm that the Brahmana mentioned here is Chanakya Pandit, also known as Kautilya or Vatsyayana. The great historical narration Srimad-Bhagavatam, which began with the events prior to the cosmic manifestation, now reaches into the realm of modern recorded history. Modern historians recognize both the Maurya dynasty and Chandragupta, the king mentioned in the following verse. Text number 12. This Brahmana will enthrone Chandragupta, whose son will be named Varisara. The son of Varisara will be Ashoka Vardhana. Text number 13. Ashoka Vardhana will be followed by Suyasya, whose son will be Sangata. His son will be Salisuka. Salisuka's son will be Soma Sarma. And Soma Sarma's son will be Sadadhavan. His son will be known as Brihadrata. Text number 14. O best of the Kurus, these 10 Maurya kings will rule the earth for 137 years of the Kali Yuga. So, although 9 kings are mentioned by name, Dasaratha appeared after Shudesta, before the rule of Sangata. And thus there are 10 Maurya kings. Text 15 to 17. My dear King Parikshit, Agni Mitra will follow as king, and then Shujesta. Shujesta will be followed by Vasumitra, Bhadraka, and the son of Bhadraka, Pulinda. Then the son of Pulinda named Gosha will rule, followed by Vrajramirta, Bhagavata, and Devabhuti. In this way, O most prominent of the Kuru heroes, 10 Sugas kings will rule over the earth for more than 100 years. Then the earth will come under the subjugation of the kings of the Kanva dynasty, who will manifest very few good qualities. So, according to Srila Siddha Swami, the Sugas dynasty began when the general Pushpamitra killed his king, Brihadrata, and assumed power. After Pushpamitra came Agni Mitra and the rest of the Sugas dynasty, which lasted 412 years. Text number 18. Vasudeva, an intelligent minister coming from the Kanva family, will kill the last of the Suga kings, a lusty debauchee named Devabhuti, and assume rulership himself. So here, apparently because King Devabhuti was lusty after the wives of other men, his ministers killed him, assuming leadership and thus beginning the Kanva dynasty. Text number 19. The son of Vasudeva will be Bhumimitra, and his son will be Narayana. These kings of the Kanva dynasty will rule the earth for 345 more years of Kali Yuga. Text number 20. The last of the Kanvas, Susmaran, will be murdered by his own servant Bali, a low-class Sudra of the Andhra race. This most degraded Maharaj Bali will have control over the earth for some time. So here is a further description of how uncultured men infiltrate government administration. The so-called king named Bali is described here as Asattama, a most impious, uncultured man. Text number 21 to 26. The brother of Bali, named Krishna, will become the next ruler of the earth. His son will be Santakarna, and his son will be Paurnamasa. The son of Paurnamasa will be Lambhodara, who will father Maharaj Chibilaka. From Chibilaka will come Megashwati, whose son will be Atmanam. The son of Atmana will be Anista Karma. His son will be Heliya, and his son will be Talaka. The son of Talaka will be Parisabribu, and following him, Sunandana will become king. Sunandana will be followed by Chakora and the 8 Bahus, among whom Shivavati will be a great subduer of enemies. The son of Shivavati will be Gomati. His son will be Purnima, whose son will be Medasira. His son will be Sivakanda, and his son will be Yajnasri. The son of Yajnasri will be Vijaya, who will have 2 sons, Chandra Vikshna and Lomadi. These 30 kings will enjoy sovereignty over the earth for a total of 456 years, O favourite son of Kurus. Text number 27. Then will follow 7 kings of the Abhira race from the city of Abhirati, and then the 10 Gardabis. After them, 16 kings of the Kankas will rule and will be known for their excessive greed. Text number 28. 8 Yavanas will then take powers, followed by 14 Tukrukas, 10 Gurudas, and 11 kings of the Maula dynasty. Text number 29 to 31. These Abhiras, Garbhabhis, and Kankas will enjoy the earth for 1099 years, and the Maulas will rule for 300 years. When all of them have died off, there will appear in the city of Kilakila a dynasty of kings consisting of Bhutanandas, Vangiris, Sisunandis, Sisunandi's brother Yasonandi, and Praviraka. These kings of Kilakila will hold sway for a total of 106 years. Text 32 to 33. The Kilakilas will be followed by their 13 sons, the Bahilakas, Bahikas, and after them the king Pushpamitra, his son Durmitra, 7 Andhras, 7 Kausalas, and also kings of the Vidur and Nisada province will separately rule in different parts of the world. Text number 34. There will then appear a king of the Megasa named Vishwa Sprojit, who will be like another Puranjaya. He will turn all the civilized classes into low class, uncivilized men in the same category as the Pulindas, Yadus, and the Mandarkas. Text number 35. Foolish king Vishwa Prajit will maintain all the citizens in ungodliness and will use his power to completely disrupt the Kshatriya order. From his capital of Padmavati, he will rule that part of the earth extending from the source of Ganga to Prayag. Text number 36. At that time, the Brahmanas of such province as Suratras, Avanti, Abhira, Sura, Arubdha, and Malava will forget all their regulatory principles, and the members of the royal order in these places will become no better than Sudras. Text number 37. The land along the Sindhu river, as well as the district of Chandrabanga, Kaunti, and Kasmira will be ruled by Sudras, fallen Brahmanas, and meat eaters. Having given up the path of Vedic civilization, they will have lost all spiritual strength. Text number 38. There will be many such uncivilized kings ruling at the same time, O King Parikshit, and they will all be uncharitable, possessed of fierce temperament, and great devotees of irreligion and falsity. Text number 39 to 40. These barbarians in the guise of kings will devour the citizens, murdering innocent women, children, cows, and brahmanas, and coveting the wives of and property of other men. They will erect in their mood, have little strength of. They will be erratic in their mood, have little strength of character, and will very short-lived. Indeed, not purified by any Vedic rituals and lacking in the practice of regulatory principles, they will be completely covered by the modes of passion and ignorance. So this verse actually gives a very concise, accurate description of the fallen leaders of this age. Text number 41. The citizens governed by these low-class kings will imitate the character, behavior, and speeches of their ruler, harassed by their leaders and by each other, they will all suffer ruination. So here is the end. At the end of 9th canto in Srimad-Bhagavatam, it is stated that Ripunjaya or Puranjaya, the first king mentioned in this chapter, ended his rule about 1000 years after the time of Lord Krishna. Since Lord Krishna appeared approximately 5000 years ago, Puranjaya must have appeared about 4000 years ago. That would mean that Vishwaprajit, the last king mentioned, would have had appeared approximately in the 12th century in the Christian calendar. 12th century here means the year 1100 onwards. Modern Western scholars have made false accusation that Indian religious literatures have no sense of chronological history, but the elaborate historical chronological described in this chapter certainly refutes that naive assessment. So this ends the chapter 1 of Canto 12 of the chapter entitled The Dynasty of Kali Yuga. So from this narration here we can all see, and also from our own experience we can see, in Kali Yuga the kings are of very low character simply because they were not trained and brought up in Vedic culture. This Vedic culture, this Krishna consciousness, which is what we are trying to promote here, is a culture that gives one spiritual strength. Please understand, without spiritual strength, nothing in this world can be achieved. What to speak of ruling a country? So all these kings and leaders, they rule actually with the purpose of doing their job. So this doing their job is actually a blessing. And this blessing comes in the form of performing sacrifice, austerity, penance, and giving in charity. So these four things are the basis of Vedic culture. So when the kings and the leaders, they are devoid of such understanding that is very conducive to good fortune. This Vedic culture brings good fortune to everyone. So if the leaders do not practice this, what to speak of the citizens? So it is mentioned also here in this chapter, we heard about one Brahmana that betrayed his king and installed one common man by the name of Chandragupta. So this Brahmana is none other than Chanakya Pandit. You have to understand, this Chanakya Pandit, he was a very austere Brahmana, and through his purity, he could see that his king that he was serving was a terrible king. He was going to destroy the civilized man. He was going to destroy the country. So this Chandragupta had no choice. He had to replace this king with a more suitable candidate. So happened the suitable candidate was a Vaishya boy. He's a cowherd man's son. This Chandragupta was a cowherd man's son. Even though he was a cowherd man's son, but this Chanakya Pandit noticed this Chandragupta had very, very saintly qualities. He had very good qualities. He had qualities that could make him a very good leader. He could be a leader and other men would follow him. So being in a very compassionate mood to all the living entities in Kali Yuga at the time, this Chanakya had to do something to install this Chandragupta because he was the right person to be the king. So in this age of Kali, the level and quality of Brahmanas and Vaishnava devotees in the category of Chanakya don't exist anymore. So from this chapter I can understand that we have to take it upon ourselves, not to instruct others, not to tell others how to live their lives. We should take it upon ourselves to make ourselves purified, to take to this Krishna conscious process, so that we ourselves become an example for others to see and to follow. So this is the gist of the lessons that I have gathered so far from this chapter. So with the end of this chapter, I hope we can get some lessons, even though it's full of names of people that we don't know. But the gist of it is that being devoid of Krishna consciousness is a very, very highly risky situation. So it is upon us to take this Krishna consciousness very seriously. Hare Krishna.